All right, let me bring in the panel. I got Audrey Fahlberg, reporter for The Dispatch, Donna Edwards, former Maryland Congresswoman and NBC News analyst, and Brendan Buck, former communications advisor to House Speakers John Boehner and Paul Ryan, and also an NBC News political analyst. All right, Audrey, let me start with you. Has today been a good day or a bad day for Kevin McCarthy? I'm trying to figure that out.
I don't think it's been a good day for Kevin McCarthy. It's funny, I had an interesting conversation yesterday with Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee. He's a McCarthy supporter, but if you've been watching C-SPAN, he sidles himself next to the no votes, which is kind of funny to watch.
Yeah.
But he said, you know, frankly, a lot of these opposition voters, they have really strong speeches. You know, leadership, there's no incentive for them to keep this on the floor because with every additional speech comes more negative headlines for Kevin McCarthy. I think that he probably wants to get off the floor and have more discussions with folks in, you know, behind closed doors. But I think, frankly, what's really struck me today is that, you know, the defectors, they're kind of disunified in terms of who they're, you know, who they actually want, whether they care. And whether the concessions that Kevin McCarthy has offered in the past 24 hours will move them.
I do feel like today, Brendan, by watching Lauren Boebert go in a different direction and try to create a new candidate in a congressman from Oklahoma, Hearn, I think he's second term that he's in, versus Chip Roy doing what he's doing over here with sort of the Donald's camp. I guess, does that mean there's glass isn't half full, but there's condensation in it if you're Kevin McCarthy?
Yeah, I mean, the fundamental problem is, and you hit at it, if he cuts a deal, and he is giving away the store right now.
Do you think he is? I mean, you know these little rules. I mean, how much is he giving away?
I don't want to bore people, but like the ability to even bring a bill to the floor is threatened by what he's doing, and the rules that he's talking about have the potential to tank everything.
Could he become a speaker in name only if he goes through with some of these deals?
And another interesting dynamic here, and Allie was talking about this a little bit. He's effectively negotiating for whoever's next if it's not Kevin McCarthy, and she said Steve Scalise is being really quiet. I can't imagine Steve Scalise is particularly happy at the things that Kevin McCarthy, even if Kevin McCarthy gets there, Steve Scalise is going to be the majority leader in charge of managing the committees and running an agenda through the House. He's made it much harder to do that. So, and the things that he has offered, I think one of the reasons he wanted to get into a conference meeting was to present this to the rest of the conference and show these 10 or 20 people, like, he's giving a lot. He's getting over his skis. This is going to make a lot of people really uncomfortable. It's going to make the place very difficult to manage. So maybe he can say, like, look, guys, I've given. The problem is, even if he does get a deal here, he's only halfway there, and he has nothing else to give, really, nothing else to give.
You know, I've been thinking about this. Does this mean that the House is going to only pass bills via discharge petition? If McCarthy gets, I'm fast forwarding here a little bit, but let's say McCarthy figures out a way to get the speakership, but he has to give all this stuff up. It feels as if his hands are going to be so tied, and the Rules Committee could be so tied, and you know the House well, and it's an awkward way to govern, but it might be discharge petitions by, like, you know, Biden Republicans, essentially those Biden Republican districts, the Don Bacons of the world. Is that the only way that things are going to govern?
Well, and even that will be difficult because that then presumes that you're going to get a group of Democrats also to go along with that. And I think that that will be really difficult. I mean, when I look at the rules package, if that goes forward, even whether it's McCarthy or somebody else, it is going to be one of the weakest speaker tenures that we've ever seen, at least in the last several decades. And I think that that is really difficult going forward in terms of governance. It's difficult to imagine even getting things like some appropriations packages, certainly the debt ceiling, continuing government funding, all of those things that really hinge on a speaker being able to bring legislation to the floor. And so it's hard to imagine.
Audrey, who are you watching for on the only McCarthy side, where they're like, hey, dude, enough with this. Stop caving in.
Well, so I think it's really interesting that, you know, we just heard from Dusty Johnson that Main Street Republicans are unified behind Kevin McCarthy. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I was speaking with a member of the Main Street Coalition, actually, and he was saying, you know, a lot of McCarthy supporters are getting frustrated by how many concessions McCarthy is making to this group. They're causing chaos. It's unclear that they're going to even budge at all. Moving the motion to vacate to just a single member, promising not to get involved in open, safe primaries, but then also promising Freedom Caucus members coveted seats on the Rules Committee. One Main Street Republican was like, why should they be rewarded for this? They should be making their case to the steering committee. This doesn't make any sense. You should be prioritizing the people who have been with you, all this time.
By the way, Brennan, this Club for Growth deal with Kevin McCarthy's super PAC, first of all, there's the optics of that super PACs are negotiating to decide the speakership, right? Now, it's had no impact. That's the irony here. I mean, it moved all of no votes.
Yes.
Obviously, this was a Club for Growth advertisement to donors.
Yes, this is the swampiest thing, and it's being led by the anti-swamp group. They basically said, I want our super PAC to go negotiate with your super PAC about who can engage in what primaries. It completely ridiculous, but also way overstated. I mean, the Republican leadership has somewhat famously not gotten really involved in primaries. It hasn't been very effective. It's messy. It's not worth it. But McCarthy created some...
I have a feeling some Senate Republicans may disagree with you next cycle.
It's much harder in the House than in the Senate to kind of get involved in primaries. And so when I was in Speaker's office, we rarely did it. McCarthy did a little bit more, but it created this perception that he's running around picking less conservative candidates in primaries. And there were a couple places where they played, but not a lot. But it's one of those big perception problems, but not actual in reality.
Well, I bring this up because, Donna, you were saying that actually there's been... If it wasn't for this, Hakeem Jeffries would be getting some grief from the left because he's been looking at trying to make sure he is a governable caucus.
Well, there was some pushback among progressives around that, and I think it has forced the leadership, actually, the Democratic leadership, to pull back where it concerns getting involved in primaries. But, I just think that the optics of these two outside PACs influencing the speakership when there's not supposed to be legally any coordination with, sitting members. I mean, that's
our
just
campaign
ridiculous.
finance laws. They're kind of like yield signs, right? They're just kind of suggestions until somebody decides to enforce it. Anyway, you guys are sticking around for the hour, so I appreciate that. We're in the middle of vote counts, and it looks like it is going the exact pattern that it has been going.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.